Nigerians flee South Africa. 130 register for evacuation amid xenophobia fears. Macron and Ruto unite in Nairobi, ahead of major Africa-France summit. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for more news after the break. Nigerians flee South Africa. 130 register for evacuation amid xenophobia fears. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your international news update. Tonight, growing tensions in South Africa have sparked fear and uncertainty among foreign nationals, especially Nigerians, as reports of xenophobic threats and anti-immigrant protests continue to spread across parts of the country. According to Nigerian government officials, at least 130 Nigerians have now registered for voluntary evacuation from South Africa, following renewed fears of violence and attacks targeting foreigners. The federal government says emergency measures are already being coordinated through Nigeria's diplomatic mission in Pretoria to ensure the safe return of affected citizens. The situation has triggered fresh concern across Africa, reviving painful memories of previous xenophobic attacks that shocked the continent and strained diplomatic relations between Nigeria and South Africa. Officials say the latest tension began after anti-foreigner demonstrations intensified in areas around Johannesburg, Pretoria, and parts of KwaZulu-Natal. Protesters reportedly accused immigrants of contributing to unemployment, crime, and economic hardship, claims that have repeatedly fueled xenophobic violence in South Africa over the years. As fear spread through immigrant communities, many Nigerians living in South Africa reportedly contacted Nigerian authorities seeking protection, relocation assistance, and emergency evacuation support. Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs confirmed that evacuation plans are already being prepared for those willing to return home. Government officials say registration is ongoing, and the number of evacuees may still increase in the coming days if tensions worsen. Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has reportedly directed Nigerian agencies and diplomatic officials to closely monitor the situation and prioritize the safety of Nigerian citizens abroad. The Nigerian government has also taken diplomatic action by summoning South Africa's acting High Commissioner over the growing concerns. Officials in Abuja expressed deep worry over reports of intimidation, harassment, and attacks involving foreign nationals, including Nigerians. Adding to the tension are allegations surrounding the deaths of 2 Nigerian citizens said to have died following encounters with South African security operatives. Nigerian authorities are now demanding a full investigation and justice for the victims. South African officials, on their part, have condemned xenophobic violence and called for calm. Authorities insist that security agencies are monitoring the protests and working to prevent further escalation. The South African government says criminals must not be allowed to use social frustration as an excuse for violence against foreigners. However, many African observers say the situation highlights deeper economic and political frustrations within South Africa, where unemployment and rising living costs continue to fuel public anger. For thousands of Nigerians living and working in South Africa, the uncertainty remains frightening. Some say they are afraid to go to work, while others fear their businesses could become targets if violence escalates. Across social media, reactions have been pouring in from Nigerians demanding stronger protection for citizens abroad. Some have called for tougher diplomatic measures, while others are urging African leaders to promote unity and reject hatred against fellow Africans. Political analysts warn that if the crisis is not quickly contained, it could damage relations between Africa's 2 largest economies and create fresh diplomatic tensions within the continent. For now, the focus remains on protecting lives and ensuring safe evacuation for those who feel threatened. This is more than just a migration issue. It is a test of African unity, human rights, and the ability of governments to protect innocent civilians regardless of nationality. We will continue to monitor developments as more updates emerge from both Nigeria and South Africa. Macron and Ruto unite in Nairobi, ahead of major Africa-France summit. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your international affairs update. Today, all eyes are on Nairobi, Kenya, where French President Emmanuel Macron and Kenyan President William Ruto held a high-level joint press conference ahead of the highly anticipated Africa-France Summit 2026. The meeting marks a major diplomatic moment as France seeks to strengthen and redefine its relationship with African nations amid growing geopolitical competition and changing alliances across the continent. President Macron arrived in Nairobi for a two-day summit known as the Africa Forward Summit, an event jointly hosted by Kenya and France. The summit has attracted more than 30 African leaders, business executives, investors, innovators, and policymakers from across Africa and Europe. Speaking during the joint conference at the State House in Nairobi, President Ruto described the summit as a turning point for Africa-Europe cooperation, saying the continent is seeking partnerships based on equality, innovation, trade, and mutual respect, rather than old colonial structures. President Macron echoed that message, insisting that France wants a partnership of equals with African nations as Paris attempts to rebuild influence after facing setbacks in several West African countries. The French leader acknowledged that Africa is changing rapidly and said France must adapt to a new era where African countries demand greater control over their economies, resources, and political future. The two presidents also discussed expanding cooperation in infrastructure, climate action, technology, agriculture, transport, and energy development. Reports indicate that Kenya and France signed at least 11 cooperation agreements ahead of the summit. Among the key projects announced is a major investment plan targeting Kenya's transport system, including modernization efforts linked to the Nairobi commuter rail network. French companies are also expected to increase investments in logistics, energy, telecommunications, and innovation hubs across East Africa. The summit comes at a critical time for France's foreign policy in Africa. In recent years, France has seen its influence decline in parts of West Africa following military coups, anti-French protests, and the withdrawal of French troops from countries such as Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Now, Paris appears to be shifting focus towards stronger economic and diplomatic partnerships with East African nations, especially Kenya, which has emerged as one of Africa's fastest-growing economies and a key regional power. Political analysts say Kenya's role as co-host reflects President Ruto's growing international profile. The Kenyan leader has increasingly positioned himself as a major voice on African economic reforms, climate financing, debt restructuring, and global trade fairness. During the conference, Ruto also pushed for reforms in the global financial system, arguing that African countries need fairer lending conditions and stronger representation in international economic institutions. Security cooperation was another major topic during the discussions. France and Kenya are expected to deepen collaboration on regional security challenges, including instability in Sudan, terrorism threats in East Africa, and maritime security in the Indian Ocean region. Observers say the Africa-France summit could shape a new chapter in relations between Africa and Europe, especially as global powers including China, Russia, the United States, and the European Union continue competing for influence across Africa. The summit is also expected to focus heavily on youth empowerment, artificial intelligence, digital innovation, climate investment, agriculture, and expanding trade opportunities under the African Continental Free Trade Area. Meanwhile, heavy security has been deployed across Nairobi as world leaders continue arriving for the summit. Major roads around the Kenyatta International Convention Center have reportedly experienced temporary closures due to the high-profile event. As the talks continue, many Africans will be watching closely to see whether this summit delivers real economic opportunities and balanced partnerships, or simply more diplomatic promises. And that's all for today on Top Accolade News Nigeria, your trusted source for real stories, real voices, and real impact across the nation.